Speaking of folks coming into their prime here, excited to talk a little bit of college football with our next guest, Spencer McLaughlin, kind enough to join us now, host of Locked On College Football and Locked On Ducks, as well as the play-by-play voice for Southern Utah. He joins us ahead of a big-time tilt in the Big Ten this weekend between Oregon and Penn State. Spencer, what's going on, man? How you doing?
College football is back, and nothing makes me happier, guys. Great to be on with you.
No, we are in the same boat there, and especially a weekend like this where Week 5 has been circled on the calendar for so many people since the start of the season. Tons of great games, LSU, Ole Miss, Alabama, Georgia, but this Penn State and Oregon matchup, Spencer, as we look ahead to this, particularly from Oregon's side, I feel like this Duck squad so far, outside of maybe one lashing of Oklahoma State and Mike Gundy, who's no longer employed there, hasn't really gotten a lot of a national attention so far this season. Why do you think that is?
I think it's because they haven't played anybody that can really test them, that can go toe-to-toe with them. You know, the 4 opponents they've played so far, the smallest point spread that they have had is 27.5, and now they go on the road to Penn State and they're 3.5-point underdogs. That is reflective of the stark contrast in talent that Oregon is going to face this week compared to what they've done so far. You know, I likened it to high school math on my show earlier this week where, you know, they've passed algebra and they've passed algebra too, and that's great. But in the grand scheme of things, algebra isn't that hard, and now you're going to calculus. You have to level up here and show that you can go toe-to-toe with one of the best teams, I think, in the country. And I've been bullish on Penn State all offseason. Who they have coming back, their coordinators and coaching staff, I think is really good. And just the moves they made in the transfer portal to add wide receivers as well. This is such a premier test for Oregon and an opportunity to showcase to themselves and the entire country that they should be squarely in that national championship picture once again. So that's why they haven't gotten all the attention that maybe they deserved. But frankly, at this point, there have been bigger games to watch, but there is no bigger game this week.
Using your math analogy, could you say that Penn State hasn't passed Algebra 2 and James Franklin and just not being able to win that big game yet?
Well, so far this season, they've passed Algebra 2, but maybe they got a C instead of a B or a B plus for what they've done so far. Offensively, they just haven't quite clicked the way that I felt like they should with returning offensive line starters. Drew Aller's still there. Andy Kotelnicki's still there as offensive coordinator. 2 great running backs. The receivers I mentioned, it hasn't looked quite as good as it should. But for James Franklin, you know, he told us at Big Ten Media Days that, you know, the exciting part about an opportunity like this and the narrative with him in big games and top 10 and top 5 opponents is that, you know, they control everything that happens. They get to control the narrative, and they've got an opportunity to go out this week and silence all of the doubters and all the people whose first instinct when you think of James Franklin is, well, he can't win the big game. You know, don't give him credit for anything that he does really well, which is a lot. And they're the envy of most college football programs in the country in a lot of different ways. I mean, they were one drive from the national championship game a season ago. And all it seems like people can talk about with James Franklin is, well, can't win the big one. Nope, can't get it done. This is an opportunity for him to silence that narrative for the time being. I'm sure college football fans will get it going again one day when he doesn't win every big game that he coaches the rest of his career. But for now, the opportunity in front of him is as big as he's had in the last few seasons.
That opportunity is certainly there for his quarterback, Drew Aller, too, who's had first-round traits for a long time but hasn't put it together consistently enough for a lot of people, myself included, to really put him in that class of player. On the other side, though, I want to talk about Dante Moore. I've turned on the tape for Oregon a few times, and the flashes you see, what has this quarterback shown you so far in his time at the helm for Will Stein's offense in his first year?
That he's put behind what happened at UCLA as a true freshman, where he struggled protecting the ball and threw a pick 6 in 3 straight games and got benched as the starter. He's shown that he's moved beyond that. What he has the opportunity to showcase this weekend against Penn State in the whiteout is that he's a Heisman Trophy finalist this season, right here in his first year starting with the Ducks, because the traits are all there. The pocket presence is the biggest difference, I think, from what he had when he first started playing college football. The way that he has manipulated the pocket, manipulated defensive backs with his eyes, I think has been really impressive in a lot of different ways. And he hasn't just done it on a couple of different plays. He's done this from the moment the season got going. And he moves in the pocket well. The arm talent's incredible. He showcased the mobility. You know, he told reporters in the offseason that he topped out running at about 21 and a half miles per hour. So it's not a feature of his game, but it's something he can go to and has in certain moments. I think his ability to throw on the run is really, really good. So, you know, he's currently, according to FanDuel, tied for second in the Heisman odds in all of college football right now. I don't know if Oregon wins this game. I don't know how he doesn't catapult up to first, because I think to do that he'll have to do a lot of good stuff.
More than a few big games this weekend, including LSU at Ole Miss. Do you think LSU can finally prove and Brian Kelly finally live up to where everybody thought he could take this team?
I do, and it's strange to be saying that it'll come down to the offensive side of the ball, but Blake Baker, the second-year defensive coordinator for LSU, has been nothing short of exceptional, and the reason that LSU is in this particular position. And I think it's a great sign if you're a Tigers fan, because you're waiting on the offense with an NFL caliber quarterback, maybe a first-round guy, depending on which draft analyst you talk to, in Garrett Nussmeier, who's one of my favorite five favorite college quarterbacks in the country coming into the season. So if you're waiting on that side of the ball to get itself right and to start playing to its full potential, I think this LSU team can go out and win the national championship with the way they're playing defense. And I think fans down in Baton Rouge have to be wondering right now, where was this defense 2 years ago when Jaden Daniels won the Heisman Trophy? Because if you paired this level of defense with Whit Weeks and Harold Perkins, with that form of LSU's offense, that's a national championship caliber team. So, you know, I want to see more from the LSU offense in this spot against a solid Ole Miss defense, but on the road, certainly it'll be tough in Oxford there. But if they put it all together this week, I think they could win that game by double digits against Ole Miss and really prove that they're national title caliber.
Yeah, that defense showing up better late than never. Never late is better for LSU fans, wishing they had lined those seasons up offensively and defensively. Dad and I were talking about Bama and Georgia a little bit earlier in the show. Where are you at on Kalen DeBoer? Obviously, someone you guys are familiar with, his stint in the Pacific Northwest with Washington opposite those Oregon Ducks. Gave way to some great games with some phenomenal quarterbacks. Hasn't necessarily been the easiest start to his Alabama tenure. Do you still think he can be successful in Tuscaloosa following Saban?
I do, and as an Oregon fan, thanks for reminding me of those games. That was fun. Okay, I've tried to forget. It hasn't worked yet, but you know, maybe I need some cognitive behavioral therapy for that. But for Kalen DeBoer, you know, they've looked good the last couple of weeks, but it's kind of the same question with Oregon. Who's it against? Who are you playing? Louisiana Monroe? Wisconsin is maybe going to fire Luke Fickell at the end of this year. Like, I don't know that we can say for certain. It's encouraging. You can take a step forward, but you know, the thing with Alabama is when they struggled against Florida State, it looked a lot like their losses last year. They weren't good situationally. They couldn't get off the field. They couldn't stay on the field on third down. They weren't disciplined, and they made some really sloppy mistakes throughout the course of the game. And it's a stark contrast from what Kalen DeBoer had during his time in Seattle. And I thought this would be a home run hire, and so far it just hasn't been. So I think the rest of the year is a big game for Kalen DeBoer. He's coaching for his job this season. My understanding is they can structure his contract buyout to where they could pay it out in small amounts over the course of time. And I think that if you fail to make the playoff in the 12-team era at Alabama for a second straight year, I don't think that's going to be tolerated. 8-9 wins is not what the program standard is. So I do think he's still capable. It's encouraging that Ty Simpson looks really good at quarterback, but you know, it comes down to Alabama, and it's weird to say, but this is just the truth. They have not been the more physical team in a lot of these games. They get pushed around by Vanderbilt. They get pushed around by Florida State. They get pushed around by Oklahoma. That can't continue. And if that doesn't change, then you're going to see Ty Simpson under pressure. And most quarterbacks, it turns out, aren't good in that particular spot. So I think he can still succeed, and winning at Georgia would be a great start, because if you lose this week, you have to win out, or you're probably not going to the playoff this year unless you find a way to backdoor into the SEC championship game and get in like Clemson did last season.
So we'd be remiss if we didn't ask you about Mike and I's alma mater, Notre Dame. They traveled to Arkansas. While Arkansas is 2-2, their two losses were by one-score games, and they scored over 30 points in both those games, going against the Notre Dame team where their defense is struggling.
Yeah, I am a little perplexed by Notre Dame struggling defensively. It doesn't quite click. A lot of things aren't clicking this year. Clemson comes to mind as an entire football team. On paper, that's a great unit with NFL talent all over the place and a lot of experience, and they're just straight up not any good. And Notre Dame's defense has a guy in Marcus Freeman that I thought was putting on the best coaching performance of anybody last year, including Ryan Day, throughout the playoff, because I think he got the absolute most out of that team. And I don't know how many other coaches in college football could have done that with all the little stuff, manipulating the special team situation against Georgia to get a first down and the situational play call. It was just all really good. And now all of a sudden you look up and Marcus Freeman has lost two close games because his defense hasn't been able to consistently make plays. I'd like to think that he gets it right on that side of the ball, because CJ Carr looks darn good. It's not hard to see why he won the starting job over Steve Angeli, went to Syracuse and is unfortunately out for the year because he was looking really good as well. CJ Carr looks like the guy for Notre Dame going forward for the next couple of years. Like Irish fans, you can sleep comfortably knowing like, okay, we have our quarterback for the next couple of seasons and you got to fix the defense. Well, kind of like LSU's offense. If that comes around, you have to be excited about what that means for the future. But in the short term, yeah, it has not looked the way that it should. Just the Texas A&M game, I know there was a hold on that play with on 4th and goal, and Marcel Reed maybe should have been sacked or backed up and whatnot, but the bottom line is it shouldn't have been in that spot. You shouldn't have been in that position where one call is defining success and ultimately victory in that particular game. So it's definitely confusing in a way, but I do trust Marcus Freeman to get it right because I think he is just an outstanding football coach.
You and me both, all the faith in the world. Would like to see that faith rewarded on the road at Arkansas this weekend. Check them out, Locked On College Football and Locked On Ducks as well. Doing a great job calling play-by-play for Southern Utah. Spencer, we appreciate the time today, brother. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me, guys. Great to be on with you.